step into the next level. Timeless game every day of the week. Could tell you how to level up your spirit and be success driven and mind strong. Get your finances right, get your grind on. You know there's power in the stories. Tune in, this the Valor of the true man. Success blueprint. The success blueprint. The success blueprint. You're looking for the blueprint.
Welcome back to the Success Blueprint, where we have Jaime, the financial enabler, and I'm Mike Whitaker, the man of Valor. And today we're stepping into our new series called the Builder Series. It's going to be amazing. We're going to talk about 5 different kingdom and blueprint principles. First one is going to be identity. Then we'll jump into execution, leadership, resilience, and then lastly we'll talk about the kingdom. So we're excited for this 5-part series to get you going. It's episode 9, so man, hopefully you've been rocking with us through this thing, and man, I'm excited. So let's dive in. Jaime, what's up, brother? Good to see you.
What's up, man? I'm pumped for this. I'm glad we're gonna keep going. I like the series stuff too, because it keeps it focused, right? You know, we're gonna build on. Every now and then we'll throw in a rando here and there, but let's. I like this series. We talk a lot about leadership, both military and now non-military, and the carryover benefits of both. So I'm pumped for this.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's dive into the first one, right? So let's talk about, let's go back. We kind of hit this pillar a little bit during our Prosper State series, talking about identity, right? And as a builder, and let's clarify this, we're not talking about just business. We're not talking about just family. We're talking about in every area. You're building something in life, right? So as a builder, that's why we're calling it the Builder series, your identity is invaluable. Would you agree?
100%.
Yeah. So we gotta know our identity. We need to know about who we are, whose we are, what we're doing, how to act, how to move, your character, everything when it comes down to it. So as a builder, the foundation literally has to be who you are. And I think that's a big struggle for people today, right? It's understanding who they are, who they actually are, what's their makeup, your name has a piece to do with that. However, it's not everything to do with that. Your job has to do, could be a piece of it, but it's not everything. Your business could be, but it's not everything, because I love this example. Take the owner of McDonald's. Are they a fast food guy? No, they're a business owner, right? Most of the time they never eat there. Right? Maybe outside of the very first day it opens, you never see them. So it's valuable to know who you are, and it's hard to build anything in life if you're that cornerstone, that piece is missing, right? So let's get into this thing. What would be some cornerstones? What is a place that you can? What is your identity linked to? What do you think that should be?
Well, I think that there's what they should be and what people put them on are two good conversations. So I think that let's focus on the things that they should be on, right? Yeah. Obviously you should have your identity in Christ, right? That's a priority, right? But let's say you're not Christian and you want to find your identity in something else, right? I think that a good place to put your identity would be not in what you do, but I think it's a lot better to put your identity in what you strive to achieve, right? So it's like there's a lot of football players. There's very few Super Bowl champions, right? And I think that that's something that we see in identity of a winner, right? How they see their future version versus their current version, right? So I think that, and you could be a father. The requirements for a father are literally, the act and the delivery of a creature, right? But being a great father, a role model father, is a totally different level of identity. So much like, and I haven't thought about this question nearly enough, and I think it's really good. I think it really should be focused on where you want to go, not where you are. The identity of where you want to go, right? Like you and I spoke in our business, right? We have a CEO mindset, right? We're not just here to run a small mom and pop business, right? So I think that it's really on the end point, not on the current point. I would say that would be a good place to start with that in my perspective. What do you think?
Yeah, and I agree with that, right? So in addition to that, I would say who you are as a person helps you identify the goals that you want. person you're trying to become. So who you are as a person, meaning your character, your conduct, how you think, how you move, how you treat other people, all of those things matter in your search of, here's the impact that I want to make. Because if you don't know who you are, it's kind of hard to figure out the impact.
Right.
And usually, I love this quote, we've said it plenty of times, and I think I heard Ed Milet say it, you're most qualified to help the person that you were, right? The thing that you've been through. And a lot of us, we want to shy away from that thing. It's like, man, I used to be a procrastinator, and I used to be a drug addict, or I used to be addicted to this, or whatever the case may be. Well, you're most qualified to help those people in most cases. So how can you make an impact using the thing that the talents and the gifts that God gave you? Let's just say for football, for example, since you mentioned them, let's just say a football player is his whole identity in football, or can he say, hey, I'm talented enough to play this game. However, who I am as a man that will allow me to impact single moms and parent and kids that don't have, you know, both parents in their family, or whatever the case may be. I want to help orphans, or I came from a home where it was broken. You know, my dad was a drug addict, or my mom was this, or whatever the case may be, the thing that really hurt their life and propelled them to use their talents to get them out of that situation.
Right.
So who they become, who they are, understanding that I am a football player, but that doesn't mean I am football.
Yeah.
Right? That's not my whole identity. My identity as a man, I have integrity, I have honesty, I am loyal, I lead well, I love people, or I'm an introvert, or I'm a great thinker, or I'm artistic, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Whatever it is that you want to do, that is a big role for me. All right, so, which makes me think about character as a whole, right? And I heard this definition some years ago. He said, and it was an old pastor of mine, he said, character is doing what's right, because it's right, when it's right, even when nobody's watching. Right? And I'm like, man, how do I have that? And who did we hear? And I know I'm kind of jumping a lot.
So good.
Who did we hear? Rich Dolly, right? One of our mentors, he said, if you played football forever and you never won a Super Bowl, in your last season, you get to a Super Bowl game, you went to the championship game, and the ball's on the 1 yard line, you're the center, and it fumbles, and you pick the ball up, you can inch the ball forward just a half an inch, and nobody's ever going to know you moved the ball. And if you do move the ball, you win the championship, right? Your whole life you work for this one thing, and nobody's ever going to know if you move it just 1 inch is this, or if you don't move it, then you lose and nobody would ever know, right? So the question is, will you move the ball when nobody's seeing it? That's character. And if your answer is yes to that, you should probably go, right? Because only you'll know. So yeah, I love that when it comes to this.
Yeah, and I think that the longer that I've been not only in the military, but with what we're doing now, I realized the true value of doing what's right, even when no one's looking, right? So let's say it's super uncomfortable. Let's say you don't want to do it. Eventually will pay off to do what's right. It is always the best. It is always the best option, right? Because like you said, right, like you got to live with that. And plenty of people, I think, do the wrong option and then eventually we regret it. And we don't want to be regretting our life. You know, it's much better when we don't have to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Which is really good. And I know for me, I've done, don't get it twisted, all of us have done things, right, that are wrong or that we could get away with and nobody ever know. We've all done it. We're all been there. Nobody's saying anybody's perfect here, nor are we saying that every single time I'll make the right decision. But the goal is to strive to make a better decision, strive to be deeper and have that more personal relationship, have more discipline, private discipline. And when we're going through this thing, and it always makes me think about, I don't want to be a public success and a private failure.
Yeah.
Because I relate to everything. And I heard a man years ago when I was really starting to do personal development, he used to say, how you do anything is how you do everything. And I'm like, man, that's so true. If I'm lazy in this area, I'm usually going to be lazy over there. If I cut corners over here, I'm probably going to cut corners in this space. If I cut corners when nobody's watching, and oh man, this is how it started catching me this way, right? And I've done this. You know, you walk past the trash can, you throw something, you miss, and you just keep going.
Oh yeah.
And it drives me nuts because that rains in my head. How you do anything is how you do everything. You threw that piece of paper in the trash, and you missed, and you left it. So I got to go back, and I'm like, let me just pick this up to do what I'm supposed to do. But in those little minute things, our everything. Because what does it say? There's a saying, the small foxes is what destroy the vine. It's the small things that build and we give more leeway to, and it affect our character in the long run. Because if I'm willing to compromise just on this little piece, what else would I compromise on? What happens when somebody brings the deal to you for $100 million? You've been waiting on it forever, but they say, hey, you got the deal, but you can't talk about, you can't do, you can't go, you can't, well, we no longer want you using this. You can only talk to this person. You can no longer talk to this group. Like, what happens then? Because I was willing to, but if you're willing to compromise on the small things, man, how are you going to take a stand when it means something big? You don't have the muscle memory.
Yeah, the muscle it shows that how you do anything is how you do everything. I'm gonna go exaggerate with what you just said, the example of throwing the piece of trash, right? If you would have just been better at it, you would have nailed it. So you haven't trained enough, and now since you didn't train enough, you're giving yourself the option to not pick it up, and then you're not picking it up, which is the reason why you also are not gonna go train. So it's like that vicious cycle. But then once you become obsessed with doing what's right, and that's a thing that people forget, that like, I think that we struggle with. Our obsession for doing what's right doesn't require you to be right. You can mess it all up, but you just gotta do what's right. If you know this is right and it doesn't work out, that is okay, right? And I think that way too many people miss those opportunities. I mean, for that matter, we miss those opportunities. We miss more of those opportunities to do more of what's right, to be kinder and have that identity of a leader that does what's right all the time, right? And I think that desire, that obsession of, I need to do what's right. I gotta get better at this. I didn't do that well last time. No big deal. Fix it now, right? And the sooner that we get on that journey, it's really exciting, because it changes everything. It changes everything when you start doing, I need to do everything right. I need to show up on time. Right place, right time, right outfit, all of these things. And it applies to everything in life. And people downplay it. Some people downplay it. But when you get to the creme de la creme of anything, they're all doing it. You know, Jamie Dimon, the CEO of Chase, I'm sure he strives to be on time. He has things to do. The same way that Nick Saban did. The same way that a great pastor does. I mean, I'm sure they mess it up, but they strive to that all the time, the little things. And I think that that's a game-changing approach to a business. And I think that maybe that's another unfortunate reality of like people that climb the ladders, we don't see their day-to-day, which we may not have the right view of their identity for us to emulate it, you know? That's what we got to find good people at our levels and start emulating. And what was it that Trey said today? Climbing and clawing, climbing and pulling. Climbing and pulling. You got to climb and pull to get up to that higher level, to get up to the people that are doing it better than you. You know? I think I think that to me is really important.
Yeah, I agree. And when I hear character, I automatically think integrity too. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, so the only way I could do the right thing, because it's right and all of those things, if I have integrity. And this is not just, there's a lot of people that'll just honest.
Right.
Ask them a question, they'll tell you the truth.
Yeah.
However, integrity is like being open and transparent, and I'm forthcoming, right? So when I think about integrity, do I have good character without supervision? Am I honest in all things? Like, you know what I mean? Like, in all my dealings, without anybody watching, can I do the right thing? And I laugh because this is a place where I am with my children, being 14 and 9, where I'm like, listen, when you don't do the right thing when I'm not looking, it shows me it's a character issue. You have the integrity piece is not there.
Yeah.
I'd much rather not tell them. Much rather you come up to me and say, I ain't cleaned my room today, I was tired, right? Or I didn't do it because, I didn't feel like it. Versus, I did it. No, just come be real, all right? It's okay. I'm not saying there's no consequences for those actions, because there's always going to be. Right? I'm going to make you go do what you're supposed to do probably in that moment. Or, hey, you got to hear my mouth. However, now for us as adults, when we don't have that accountability, when we don't have somebody always watching us, and here's what a secret, our kids are always watching. Our spouses are always watching. Our ladies, or if you got a man, they're always watching. Our parents and our family and our siblings and our best friends are always watching anyway. We just don't think they see us, but they know, right? So can I have integrity? Can I move in without supervision and do the right thing? If it's, I heard somebody say this before, if I was to drop $100 bill and you saw me drop it, would you pick it up and think it was a blessing for you? Or would you say, hey, sir, you dropped this money, this is your money?
Yeah.
That's integrity. When nobody would ever fault you for picking up the $100 knowing that I dropped it and put it in your pocket.
Yeah.
And then if I turn around and say, oh man, I just dropped $100, did you see it? Would you say, oh yeah, I got it, I put it in my pocket? Yeah. Most people would not. They'd ignore me and act like I didn't drop. You know what I mean? So that has a big part.
Most people hope that, that's not true. Not most people. Some people hope they don't get seen.
Yeah.
Just to have a buck. But I mean, that goes into that identity of doing what's right. If you turn around and you're like, you give the guy the 100 back, he may be a billionaire. He'd be like, yo man, you were so kind and so thorough, keep it. There's people that are willing to do that, but because you had the wrong identity in this position, the wrong identity, and you did the wrong thing, you missed out on a blessing. Which again, it's always, again, I don't want to go too deep on the kingdom right now because it's just a topic thing, right? That God ultimately wants to bless us. There's ultimately a desire of God to bless. We are the ones that are choosing to delay, postpone, or deny the blessing, right? So it's like the blessing wasn't $100 falling. The blessing would come after doing what's right with said dropped $100. We have to have that identity with everything, you know, like I think of like with our partners, right? The men that, and I don't know if you've seen it in the social media, there's this really awesome trend of like women being really about their husbands. It's like, you know, my husband works a lot because he gives, like, I have this awesome life because my husband works a lot. Or in an aura of thankfulness. So these men and women have taken that identity of like, I need to be busy for you to have this life. And it's not hustle culture, it's not any of those things. And people act like, I keep saying people act. We often have the perception that as men and fathers, we should always be there. But we look at, you know, historically, men would have to leave. You have to go to war, you have to go work the farms. And if you own the farms, you have to go take care of the leaders. And I'm sure they had to do meetings. So like how many activities we all had to do to properly care for our families. And even farmers had to fight, you know, so there's always this need that we actually have duties to our family that are beyond in the house. And that's what we gotta, again, to tie together, that identity of for men, a provider at all cost, at all legal and moral cost, right? And that cost is gonna be to you mostly. It shouldn't be to them.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Yeah, love that. Right, I love that. And you're talking about this, and it still makes me think, you know, we're talking about character when it comes to this. And because I want, as a provider, let's just say we're talking to men right now, as a provider, what I want to do is become more trustworthy to myself, which will make my character stronger, and I'll have more integrity because now what I'm doing is I'm telling myself I'm willing to do what's legal, moral, ethical for my family, to do the thing that I need to do so I can become, I can have more character, I can have a better life, I can figure out who I am so that I can build the life ultimately that I'm looking for. So I can have this successful blueprint of what it looks like in the track record to get there. So having that private discipline for myself, which is huge, right? Character, and the integrity without supervision, then becoming trustworthy to me. I mean, that just means I'm like, hey man, I told myself that I'm gonna make this happen for my family. I told myself that I'm having an impact in the world in this way. I told myself that I'm gonna, when I make it, that I'm gonna take care of the single moms, or I'm gonna provide a way I'm gonna go back to my city and to do the things that I said I was gonna do. And man, look out for the underserved and underprivileged and whatever the case may be, but I become more trustworthy to myself because I'm doing those things. I got the steps, I'm taking the steps to get there, which only build our character.
And I'll play with that. The provider, trustworthy to self. I've said it before, and I really like this analogy. It's like, if we're truly American, we don't negotiate with terrorists. Every American knows that phrase. America does not negotiate with terrorists. So why do we negotiate with a terrorist that is us? Every day, we're like, hey man, you should probably eat more. Yeah, probably. And don't work out today. Yeah, you're right, I'm a little tired. Don't work as hard. Yeah, you're right. So we're always negotiating with a terrorist. Now, people that live in discipline, right? That you're trustworthy to yourself, it's totally different to negotiate with a terrorist than what it is to lose to the terrorist. Because you're going to. Like, it's hard. It's hard to do it every day. You're supposed to fail at it. But once you say, I won't negotiate, and then you're like, man, I ate too much. What do you gotta do? You gotta fix it the next day. That's all right. So it's like, it's constantly removing the option to negotiate, but people are allowing the negotiation, and then it drags on and it always fails. So you're not trustworthy to yourself, which, as we know, a great marker of somebody that is a failure is someone that doesn't keep promises to self, which is exactly what you said. You got to be a provider to be trustworthy to self. And if you cannot keep your promises, you're lying to you, and you don't trust you. And then you go up to your wife and you say, trust me. And she's like, no, I am not going to follow you, because you're about to do what I know you do every morning. They say you're going to work out and you don't. Get out of here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's good. Okay, because when you do this, to me, you start to know who you are and act like it. All right, which is vital. Like, we have to act like, who we are and who we believe we are already. Most of us are acting like the past us versus future us. And I love this saying. Candace uses it all the time. I think it was Bob Proctor that said it. But I want to remember future me, so that my identity is tied in who I can become, and not just, right where I am or my past failures. And I'm thinking about that. And what Bob Proctor said, you already paid for that. Mm-hmm. You don't have to pay for it anymore. So become the better you, become the new you, and become the guy that you want, or the lady you want to be, whether it's the CEO, whether it's the next model, the president, the NBA star, NFL star, whatever, pop star, it doesn't really matter. Whatever that thing, the teacher, the principal, the lawyer, the doctor, it doesn't matter to us. This is building a successful life. Become that thing, and you can know about it. You start acting like they would act. And we do say this all the time. Would CEO Mike make this decision? Would the $10 million earner Mike make the same investment? Would he spend money? Would he spend time? Would he do such and such to get there? And that keeps me so grounded, because what's important is internal standards versus external validation. Wow. And a lot of times we're looking for that external validation to say, oh yeah, that's who I am. No, right? Who I am is the internal standard that I set for me, so I can become, because for us, we're linked to Christ. And we're linked to that. That's fine, right? Whatever it is that you're linked to, can that internal standard that we set for ourselves, that I am bought with the price, and I am made in his image, and my life is not my own, and now I'm dedicated and devoted to who God says I am and the purpose that he sets up for me. Now, I don't necessarily need external validation all the time, because I know who I am and whose I am.
Right.
So I begin to act like the man that God made me to be and created me to be, and the passions and the alignment and all those things that he gave for me, and the gifts and the talents that I can use to become a better person, and my character is built on that.
And that identity in Christ, like you said, right? If we know that we are a follower, it drives our actions, right? And I realized, I had a recent realization that whenever this lady delivers this ring that I have for my girl, I will be proposing, and I'm thinking of the wedding, right? And a song has been really making me think and enjoy the wedding. Like, I'm thinking, feeling, and enjoying the wedding already. And I realized it was the first time that it was very clear, and I was able to repeat it with the song. And I was like, okay, that's it. So then with that thought, I was like, what if I did this in business? What if I did this in faith? What if I did this then I know my identity would be on that emotion, that joy, remembering that future self. And it gets really exciting as to when you find that and how you can then repeat it. Then, because then you have it on demand. You're like, okay, cool. I want to feel like I won something. What do I be hearing? And we've heard this before, right? What would you be hearing? What would you be seeing? What would you be smelling? What would you be wearing? But then you find all of these factors and you can repeat it. Your identity is crystal clear, because then you have to do the things to feel that. Like, if I feel these things about my wedding and then I go and I break up with her, that would make no sense. Or if simple things. Let's say if I want to feel these things at the wedding and right now she does something and I go yell at her, I'm going counter to that destiny.
Right.
Because it could end. So then you change all your habits to get to that future version of you, which is identity, right? You got to be that from that stage.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, because what you're talking about is alignment between belief and behavior.
Yeah.
Right. Alignment between belief and behavior is really what I hear when you say that, because it's like, hey, I say one thing and then I gotta align what I say about this to my behaviors, and therefore, if I say I want to be married to her, and yet my behavior shows, let's break up, that makes no sense. So now you don't even have that trustworthiness to yourself that you keep in that promise. So your character is always being shaped as being that cornerstone of your life, which is your character.
Right.
It's the cornerstone of our life. Now it's being shaken. It's like, crap, this is not what I thought it was. And you don't have the results. Because you cannot, your identity is what's going to drive results. Because identity drives behavior, behavior drives results, right? In my world. And I think that's so vital for us. I love that, having that alignment between belief and behavior. That's really good.
Yeah. With that, I think that people that miss or put the identities and things that are weak is also a pitfall, right? That's why it's easy to put it on Christ, because that's not weak, right? That is not going to fall apart. But for the audience that are service members and veterans, people that put their identity on what they did in the military or their achievements in the military, that's fleeting, and that's why a lot of these guys and gals get out of the military and they have mental health issues. It's like, well, of course, you're no longer that. It was impossible for you to be that the rest of your life. But let's say the inverse of that, and I had a realization the other day seeing somebody, for example, PAOs, what do you call it? Public affairs officers. Let's say they put their identity in crafting a message to an audience, not just a PAO. You could do this the rest of your life. And you could do it in the military, you could do it in a church, you could do it anywhere. So that identity in that professional environment is much stronger than I did that cool thing as a PAO. Like that, for some reason, the guy I was thinking about, he was the PAO for the F-22 fighter, F-22 team. Okay. He's never going to do something that, the odds are he won't do anything that cool ever again. Yeah, so he has to change how he sees that identity, so that it can carry over longer than self. Like you can be like the identity in, I'm going to be a great father. I am a great father. That is much stronger than I want to be a father, which we hear it a lot. I can't wait to be a father. I want to be a father. It's like, dude, that's a piece of cake, man. You literally, you could do it in 9 months, but it's a piece of cake, right?
Yeah, so for sure. Which is good. Tell me this. Let me ask you this one question before we wrap it up. Do you think there's danger in borrowing identity?
I don't know where you're going with this, but I think that there is danger in borrowing the wrong identity.
Okay, sure.
Right? But I think of athletes, right? I think people need role models. So, like, as a matter of fact, that's a good example. People borrow the Mamba mentality. That was Kobe's identity. He was that. He was Mamba, right? So people borrow Mamba and make their own. Right? Because we know that Mamba worked. But, it's been years and nobody in the entire world of basketball is known as hardworking as Mamba. So there it is. It's like people are borrowing it, but they're not being their true self. Or better said, maybe some are being their true self. Maybe LeBron is being his true self with the Mamba mentality because he's seen it. So I think that it can be really good, but if we surround ourselves with bad identities, right, obviously now you're borrowing their identity, and it'll take you somewhere you don't want to go, or sorry, somewhere you shouldn't go.
Yeah.
So I think it's a case in point. We're borrowing Jesus' identity. Like, hey, I'm gonna hold on to that because it's not. It is, and that's actually a really good one because it's impossible for us to be it. So we borrow it every day, and we have to think about it every day. And it's like, and even every moment.
Yeah, which is good because, and the interesting part for Christ's identity is that He wants us to be who we are in Him, who we are in Him, which allows for us to have individualism within Christ. And there's not too many places you can go where you can borrow an identity and still be an individual.
Right.
The danger in borrowing an identity is that when you try to be like somebody else to accomplish what they're doing versus your own purpose.
Right.
That's the worst part. Like, so using the Mamba mentality is amazing if you adapt it to your purpose. However, if you go try to be Kobe Bryant, it just doesn't work.
It's
right?
not.
That's like saying, hey, I'm gonna be Kobe. That means you got to go marry his wife and his kids, and you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's nearly impossible. Borrowing identity is not the same thing as borrowing belief. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that's really good. I think you hit it right on the head. So
Yeah. And so as we're giving people things to think about at the end of this, think for the homework, like sort of homework thoughts, closing thoughts. Look at your identity. What is it based on? Is it sustainable? Do you like that identity that you have? And if this is the best part, if you've never thought about this, perfect. This is a good time to look at where your identity is or what do you want it to be. So with that, we're wrapping up this episode, and I'm pumped. Identity to become in the Builder series. Let's go. This is sweet.